everybody, this is Tyler Jazz from BCR Music and Sound. Today we're going to go over another tutorial series this week. This tutorial is going to be a little more, actually it's going to be a lot more advanced than the Jingle Bells tutorial from last week. This tutorial is the Hanukah song by Adam Sandler. I want to wish all of my Jewish friends and neighbors and students a happy Hanukkah this year. I hope it's an awesome one, even though 2020 has not been really that great of a year. So anyways, let's kick it off with this Adam Sandler and Saturday Night Live's classic, the Hanukah song. Alright, so a few notes about the song first. We're going to go with the assumption that you already know a lot of your open chords. This week, for the Hanukah song, we're going to be using the open chords of A major, E major, and D. And then going back to E major. So if you know those chords, then you're ready to go. If you don't know those chords, you can obviously look them up online, or just schedule a lesson with me, and we can get you started on those chords right away. So anyways, let me go ahead and take you down to the sheet music here. And the first thing we'll talk about is that introduction. So here's the sheet music here, and this is exactly what you would see in a lesson with me. So if we were talking right now, you would be up in my other window there, and you would see this shared screen. We could zoom in, we can zoom out, we can even listen to it together. It doesn't sound great on this software, but that's okay. This software is just a learning platform. So anyways, what do we got here? This is exactly how I like to lay out my lessons for all my beginner students or people just learning acoustic guitar, learning strumming patterns, things like that. We have chord charts above telling you we got an A major, an E, a D, and an E there. And we also see how the fingers are placed up here in these chord charts. And it looks like a lead sheet as well. So if you're familiar with lead sheets or jazz style of music, you can just look up here and already know what you're playing. Alternatively, if you're into sheet music, we have this as an option too with this Tux guitar software. And then one of my favorites and the favorites of a lot of my students is reading tablature. Now, so what I did was I added downstrokes and upstrokes. As you can see in these arrows, that's what they represent. And then if you see these X's here, those are going to mean to scratch the guitar. So we got this whole scratchy sound. So that's what's going to go on in this. So that's kind of understanding the dynamic here. If you're into sheet music, you understand notation. You might like to count this song like this. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a... Or alternatively, if you're into tabs and you like the down, up kind of sound, you might want to try this. Down, 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 up, down, and so on. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and go with the first two measures of this song. If you know the first two measures of this song, you know the entire intro. You know the entire chorus. And you know a little bit of the pre-verse, just before the verse. So we'll go over that right now. And here we go. So this is the Hanukah song. So starting there in measure 1 and getting into measure 2, we've got the whole strumming pattern. Measure 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. So on the and a, we have that little scratch, and a. So down, up, right on that scratch. What I like to do here is I like to put my hand right on the strings and do that scratch. So usually when I'm picking, when I'm actually strumming the chord, I'll just jump out of the shared screen here so you can see it better. When I'm usually strumming the chord, it's a pretty free looking strum here. You know, we've got the, really free strumming. But when I get to the scratching part, this is when I kind of slam my fist or my palm right into the strings, and that's a great way too to transition from that E major chord to jumping over to D major. So it's a great time to use that scratch, pick up the hand, go to D major. So if I do this slowly, we've got down, 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 up, down, down. And then we have that scratch there. And that's a great time to switch and transition. So watch the left hand. We'll talk about this transition quick. Right there. See, I used that little scratch there. So it's transition from E major. So I got this E major, scratch, lift off with that left hand, scratch, scratch, back to D. And we're right there. So let's go ahead and try this because measures 1 and 2, the strumming pattern is the exact same. We're just changing chords. So let's talk about how we're going to get this strumming pattern down. So what I like to do is I like to look at the sheet music here, and I'll jump back here to the sheet music. And what I like to do is just look at this. You can look at the arrows if you're comfortable with down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. If you're comfortable with that, by all means you can use the down, up method. What I like is I like the notation method up here. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. I like that kind of sound a lot better. It kind of just makes more sense to me. So anyways, going on with this lesson, this is how we're going to conquer the strumming pattern. First, you can look at the strumming pattern here by the down, ups, down, up. So we got down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. So that's an idea. But like I said, what I like to do is this one. I like to go 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. So, and you can start this one if you're really having trouble with those scratches at the end, that on the 4 and a. If you're having trouble with that, you don't need to add the scratches. The scratches are the truest form of the music. They're the truest that you would hear on Saturday Night Live, that you would hear in the Adam Sandler concerts or the CD. But you don't have to do the scratches. So if they're giving you a real hard time during this tutorial, just go ahead and play through them. Play through all of them. So how that would sound, it's like this. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. So let me try that with the whole introduction. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. So see, it doesn't make a huge difference with those scratches, but the scratches are the truest to the form of Adam Sandler if you add those scratches in. So anyways, if we learn these strumming patterns for these two measures, then we've already got the intro, the pre-verse, and the chorus down. So going back to the sheet music here, let's go ahead and practice together. So measure 1, we got the E, or the A major, to the E major. So as long as you have those chords down, you should be ready to go here. And here we go. We're going to take it nice and slow. So starting with A major, measure 1. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. Right there, those scratches. So 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. And we're going to move on to measure 2. Now measure 2, we have a D chord, but we've kind of cut that D chord. We cut that highest note, that F sharp, that third, out of the D there. And the reason we do that is it's just true to the style, and also listen to it with the F sharp and without the F sharp. So with the F sharp, it sounds like this. It doesn't sound bad, but once again, staying true to the Sandler sound, staying true to the SNL skit, it sounds like this. So it's a little bit more bassy, or a little more mid-presence, rather than this high treble presence with that F sharp note in there. So basically, how we form this chord, very, very simple. Here's what I like to tell all of my students. We have a broken down D chord like that. Just take your D chord like this, lift off that middle finger off that 2nd fret of the high E string, and then, bam, we have that broken D chord. Right there. It's real simple. And I just either leave my middle finger up here hanging out, or he's down here hanging out doing whatever. So that's another idea where you're thinking about, how am I going to conquer this D chord when it doesn't quite look like a D chord? So what we got going on is the same strumming pattern. So this is measure 1. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. So we have those scratches again on the anda of beat 4 for measure 2. So, but we have the same strumming pattern, but now we're switching. So we're switching from this A to the E, and then measure 2, we're switching from the D to the E. That broken D there to the E. So let's do this really slow together. Measure 1 into measure 2, and we'll do this with the strumming pattern. 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, and a. And we'll do it again and again. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the entire intro now. So all it is those two measures repeated twice. So 2 times over. So here's how that sounds. I'm going to take you to the sheet music so you can kind of get a good idea of how to follow along. So we're going to start to measure 1, and we're going to go to measure 4. Here we go. So there we go. That's the entire intro. If you know that too, you also know the chorus. So that's the chorus as well. So this is our pre-chorus here from measures 5 to 11. This is the part where he starts singing really slowly in that kind of whispered voice. Hanukkah is a festival of lights. So we have just half notes going on there, doing the same exact chords in the same exact order. So we've got an A major, Hanukah is E major, a festival with D, that broken D, of lights with E major. So very, very easy. So we got A, E, D, E. Really easy. So we've got this pre-verse right here, and we got Hanukah E, or A, Hanukah E, a D of E. Instead of A, we have E. 8 crazy nights. So as we continue with that, we have the lyrics going on there, and that's the pre-verse. Really simple. So let's go ahead and recap. Let's recap to our intro into our pre-verse. So let's go ahead and play this together. We'll play it nice and slow, and I'll bring you out here with me. So outside the sheet music here. Actually, I'll bring you back to the sheet music. So looking at the sheet music here, we're going to start with the intro into the pre-chorus. So let's do it together. We'll do it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I added right there at the end, that's just a little, as they call it in flamenco music, a racianga. So we've got that whole raciango strumming there. So while that just goes, it's just a really quick kind of 16th note, almost 32nd kind of note feel. Usually, I won't go over this in a lot of depth, but you can do it with your hands and fingers like flamenco players. Or you can do it like Adam Sandler does it with the pick and just back and forth, just down, up, really quick. And of course, this goes right into when he starts playing the verse. David Lee Roth lights the menorah. You know, right before that part. You can add that in, but if you don't want to, it can just be very simple. It can just be the pre-verse where you just got... and then getting ready and prepared for that verse coming up. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the verse now. I'm going to take you down here to the sheet music, and we'll talk about the verse quick. So what I like to tell my students is, how are we going to plan for a song that maybe we don't know, or a song that we haven't heard in a long time, and we don't remember necessarily how it goes? How do we prepare for that and make ourselves just a well-established musician? Well, the first thing I like to do is I like to look at the chord shapes and see what they're related to. So anyways, what I like to do first and foremost is, how are these shapes relatable to what we already know? Well, what does this one look like? This one kind of looks like our A, right? Because here's that first note of A right here, this bass note, this bass A, and then here's the E, and then here's the C sharp. So that kind of tells me, oh, that's an A major chord. It's not the full A major chord. We don't have the A going on in here, right? That G string A. But it looks like an A chord, right? So we know we could probably mark this one down as A. So I'd mark this one down as A. Get those hands ready in A. So let's start with the first half of measure 1. So put your hand in that A major chord position. We'll jump out of this, and we'll put that chord position A major in your hand. Awesome, we're there. And when we go through the song, we have this as the tab. We have the A string, the D, and then that B string. We're holding out on that B string, the quarter note. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So there we go. Right there, we've already prepared ourselves for the first half of measure 1. And hitting the rest of measure 12 here, or measure 1 of the verse, we have this kind of chord. What does this look like? Well, it's got an extra bass note down here on the A string. It's got this B note. And then it's got the E, just like the A does. And then it's got an open B. So if we think about it, that almost looks like an E major chord. So there we go. We're going to apply that. So we got A, E major. Right? So I think you can kind of see where this is going. Because if we look into measure 13, this kind of looks like a D. You know, we have the A, D, D. And then we have another E. And this. So let's go ahead and hit this one. So what I like to do here is, all right, we know we got an A, an E, and this is going to be arpeggiated. We have the D, and we have the E again. So slowly we'll do this together, and then we'll talk about how this relates. So here we go. We're going to go with this slowly. We've got... So you can take it just like that. Obviously, it's a little bit faster in the Sandler song. In the Sandler version, it's kind of... David Lee Roth lights the menorah, and so on. So if you know those two measures, if you know 12 and 13, you know the rest of the verse. So let me just show you how I like to play the verse of this song. Put my A in my hand, and I'm going to put my E in my hand when I transition. That way I'm not poking around or looking for notes like, oh no, where are my fingers? Are they in the right spot or not? Well, this is how we'll know they're in the right spot for sure. So here we go. We're going to start with that verse, just the measure 12 though. Look at that. Very fluid, very easy. Very fluid and easy because it's like, now I know. So today we're talking about how to make it easy on yourself, how to make this content relatable. And this is how my lessons go. How do we make whatever song you're playing relatable to you, no matter how hard it is or how easy it is? There are relatable shapes in every solo, in every song, in every verse, in every chorus. There are relatable shapes that we can relate to open chords, that we can relate to certain scale patterns. So that's what we want to talk about. How can we make this relational? And that's a big hunk of the learning with me and taking lessons with me. How do we make this a relationship that we can understand with the guitar, no matter what song we're playing? So anyways, we're going to go ahead and go through measure 12 and 13. Now imagine as we go through 12 and 13, we're going to be playing just the chords. So A, E, that broken D, E. So now we're going to arpeggiate that. We're going to watch me first, and then I'm going to take you there to the sheet music. So here's measure 12 to 13. Look at that, nice and easy. So yeah, that was nice and easy. So right here again. There we go, nice and easy. One more time here again. David Lee Roth lights the menorah. And so on and so on. You can sing with that, and that's the entire verse of the song. So let me take you to the sheet music, then let's play this together nice and slow. And again. So anyways, that is the entire verse. So now let's just go over and recap everything very quickly. We're going to go over the intro, the pre-verse, and the verse. So we got the intro right here. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. there we go. So we got the intro. We have that intro slash chorus, which it's also the chorus line, as we'll see later on coming up. We have the pre-verse, and we have the verse. So let's talk about the pre-chorus here, starting in measure 26. What we have, this is the place where he starts saying, he starts singing, well, you don't need deck the halls or jingle bell rock. And this is the most interesting, funnest part of the song for me. We do have one new chord going on here. In measure 30, we have this E9 going on here. We have that kind of sound and shape going on there. And let's go ahead and hit measure 26. This is our pre-chorus. So this is when he's singing, you don't need deck the halls or jingle bell rock. And then we end on this whole new chord down here in measure 30, which we will go over here very shortly. So here's how this pre-chorus sounds, okay? Without the singing, obviously. So, don't need deck the halls of jingle bell rock. You can spin the traitor with Captain Kirk and Mr. Smart, both Jewish. So we have that whole thing going on there. And measure 26 is the only real variation we have on the strumming pattern here. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So this is going to all be down picked as well. Here's how this goes once again. Measure 26 starting with that D chord. Down, 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 down. So we have that double speed going on those eighth notes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. And then we're going to move into 27 because it's just D, but this time all eighth notes. And then we'll move into 28. Once again, all eighth notes, but we're going to the E major shape. And then 29, we've got all eighth notes until beat 3. And we have an E major shape on a quarter note. And then we have that pause. So let's talk through that. And then we'll talk about measure 30. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. Pause on 4. And then bam, we're going to hit 30. So we have that pause and we're going to hit 30. So let's talk about this chord quick. What we got going on with this chord, we have that middle finger, 7th fret of the A string. We have the pointer finger, kind of like we're making a G chord, almost like a G major, but we're putting it on the A string, so almost more like a C add 9. So we got that whole shape going on. So we got middle finger, 7th fret of the A string. We got pointer finger, 6th fret of the D string. And then we're going to bar with the ring finger here on the 7 of the G and the 7 of the B. And we're going to just go through this. We'll do this one string at a time. Make sure you have this chord right. 7, 6, 7, 7. So that's a really cool chord. So now let's go ahead and play what that is there. So let's just play chord. Cool. And let's go ahead and take you back to the sheet music where we're actually playing 16th notes. So we're going very quick, just like we would up there in that transition between the pre-verse and the verse that we were talking about, where you could either hold it out, that E major back up there, or you could play it with the 16th notes. You can racianga on that. You can do deck the halls of jingle bell rock. You can spin the dreidel with Captain Cook and Mr. Spock, both Jewish. Oh yeah, I really like that. I dig that. And then what I like to add there, this is kind of me, this is my preference, I like to add a slide back, because then it's going to go back into the chorus line, which is the intro we just talked about earlier. So I like to just go slide. So once again, let's just go over that pre-chorus section, and then that will be it for this tutorial. So going back to the sheet music here, we have that measure 30. Let's talk about that quick. This is what that chord looks like in tab form. This is what it looks like in sheet music form. So we've got that chord once again forming that with middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string, pointer finger on the 6th fret of the D, and then we're going to bar on 7 on the G and the B string there. So we have this sound. Alright? And we have 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and I do my slide on 4, 4. And back into the chorus section. And going into that. So let's go ahead and hit this pre-chorus, and then we're going to do a huge recap from the intro to the verse to the pre-chorus, and we will be done. That is pretty much the entire song. So here we go. We're going to start with that pre-chorus once again. So here we go. We're going to start with that intro, and here we go. Cool, so that's going straight from the chorus to the verse. And now let's go ahead and go straight into that pre-chorus. We're skipping some of these measures once again because this is just some little added extras that I added according to the live version of this song. So we're going to skip right over here to 26, and here we go with the pre-chorus. Go straight to that chorus. Let's go ahead and do it straight to the chorus from the verse or from the pre-chorus. You check the halls of Jingle Bell Rock. And there we go. That, my friends, is the tutorial for the Hanukah song. Once again, I want to wish all of my Jewish students, all of my Jewish friends and family members a happy Hanukkah this year. I hope you enjoy it. This is a super fun song to learn. It's a hilarious song. Definitely check it out. It's not all the time for the kids. I will say it's not always a PG-friendly song, but you can check out the more PG-friendly version on Saturday Night Live. Anyways, this is an awesome song. It's awesome to talk about different cultures and their different songs that are not just Christmas, not just traditional holiday songs, but also comedy and fun. I mean, after all, music is supposed to be fun, everyone. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. This was the Hanukah song by Adam Sandler. You can find it on SNL's YouTube page. You can find it with his CD, or you can find him playing it live with his band, with some slight variations to what we learned today. So what you learned today was you learned the intro/chorus, the pre-verse, the verse, and the pre-chorus. That is the entire song, and the form of that continues. You can go ahead and ask me any questions you want about form and how that's related. Obviously, you have further questions, we can schedule a lesson. Or remember, I also do a free 15-minute meet and greet. So this is only going on for the month of December. These are the only tutorials I'm doing. We have one more tutorial coming up this month, and then that will be it. So from here on out, these are all of the holiday tutorials, and you can expect the Riff of the Week once again every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, everybody, this was the tutorial. This was the Hanukah song by Adam Sandler. I'm Tyler Jazz from BCR Music and Sound. If you guys need anything, you have any questions, you want to book a lesson, go ahead and hit me up on that Facebook page or right down there that email. All right, guys, you all have a fantastic Hanukkah.